Hello everyone, it's me Amani. Welcome back to my channel, Amani's Vibe, where I like to do what I call think pieces on Love Island USA Season 7. And so I'm going to condense my thoughts from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night. And listen, numbering the episodes is like, I'll be like, oh, it's episode 3 and 4. And they'll be like, no, it's episode 15, 16, and 17. I don't know. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'll look up the numbers and put them on for the thumbnail and for my write-up. But it's basically the last few nights. What has gone on according to my thoughts, okay? So if you have been following me, you know that my style is a little different to other people that do recaps and full reviews. I call them think pieces. But I do have to say, one of the things I've been doing is really avoiding social media and commentary and everything this season. But I have looked at Chloe Johnson. She's such a funny, good storyteller. Once I did my weekend pieces last time, and then I also looked at another reviewer who I never agree with, but he actually had something posted that I was like, I'm in full agreement with you. So I did stop and read that, but I find that things have become very negative online, and it is a lot, okay? And so I just think it's so much better. Actually, I've just been watching the show kind of at face value. If I do a think piece, then I'll go and see what other people thought about some of the nights. But yeah, I find it a lot more peaceful for me watching the show this way. The other thing is, I had a question on my wall is like, do you guys watch a show for the drama or for the love? Because I definitely watch it for the love. But I do feel like a lot of people, they like the drama part. So I find some of it painful to watch, but I definitely always hope for love, always hope for the positive, always hope for the best, you know, with the Islanders. And I do follow some of them after a season, but this is also like my mindless kind of light entertainment for the summer. It's my little bit of escapism. Okay, that's enough of that. Let me talk about the show. So what's been going on these last few nights? It's been all about eliminations, okay? And to make a long story short, on Sunday, we had Taylor, Charlie, and Huda, and they were on the chopping block. And then America had actually made those votes for these new couples, right? And so what I gather is that America's trying to get rid of Huda, or they're trying to get rid of Huda and Jeremiah, or there's just people that seem to be getting on America's nerves. So that's how they ended up forming these new couples, okay? But in that, so they put Jalen with Olandria, and they put Jeremiah with Iris, okay? And who else? Oh, and Charlie. So they had Hannah with Pepe l'Espanol, as I call him. So that's how Taylor, Charlie, and Huda ended up on the chopping block. But then they left it up for the Islanders because, you know, when Ariana Maddox comes in that slow motion walk, it was up for the Islanders to decide who they would eliminate. And I'm just laughing because Amaya, oh, my feisty little Amaya, she's so funny. I know, like, she's not trying to be funny. She's so cute. She was just like, no, but it was just so cute. Anyway, long story short, Charlie got eliminated, okay? But what I thought was interesting in that was that as they were all voting for who should be eliminated, Austin put up Taylor's name, okay? I'll tell you what I think, why I think that. I wasn't surprised, and maybe people were, but I feel like everybody has their own version of this game that they're playing, either in their head or with some sort of alliance, okay? So Charlie was eliminated thanks to America, and Hannah was absolutely heartbroken and crying for about 5 minutes. God bless Hannah. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about Taylor and Olandria and Jalen and Olandria last night. And so the people were sent on dates with their new couples, okay? And so Jalen and Olandria were on a date, and it was like a full body massage date. Okay, Jalen, I see you. And Jeremiah was sent on a date with Iris. And it was actually kind of cool to just see Jeremiah relaxed, not stressed out. And I really, really like Iris because she has handled all of the madness she has been thrust into with so much grace. But I want us to remember that Ace was talking to Iris before this and letting her know that she was his type and blah, yada, yada, yada. Ace doing what he does, okay? Sierra and Nick, I don't have much to say about them. They're there. They're a couple. They seem happy. Nick definitely stands on business, though, whenever he speaks his mind to Huda or Jeremiah, whatever he's saying. It doesn't always make sense because sometimes it feels like he's regurgitating what Ace has told him to say. And Ace has some very strong stances on Jeremiah and Huda, which I'm not sure make sense, but they seem to make sense to him. And he's quite, it's funny, he's really easygoing unless he's dealing with Amaya or he's talking about Jeremiah and Huda, okay? And one of the things I did is I went back to look at the very first episode because I was like, does Ace really actually like Huda? And that's why he's always coming for Jeremiah so hard. And I look back and it feels like it started there, where they were choosing the men that they'd want to kiss, and Huda did the thing, walking by, and she chose Jeremiah and Ace, and in the end, she chose to be coupled up with Jeremiah. And there's a little something that passes over Ace's face, though he's up there with Shelly. But to me, it's like, this is where it started. This is where it seems to have started with him and Huda and Jeremiah, because honestly, it's inexplicable to me. I do not understand what is going on. Okay? Anyways, so there have been just a lot of eliminations and America voting, and this is happening and this is happening. And what I'm gathering from the producers is that they're like, okay, America is not feeling Huda and Jeremiah, so we're going to give America a chance to vote. So America did the vote, but it didn't maybe work out the way America wanted. Charlie got voted off, so they're like, okay, we're going to create another way to eliminate somebody, and maybe this time Huda will get voted off because this seems to be what everybody wants, okay? So the producers of the show are now trying to provide more challenges and eliminations for that. Now, if you remember last season, you could tell the producers in the show really wanted Rob on there because there were so many things that did not happen last season, and Rob just kept staying there, and they did not let the audience vote. I just remember this. I'm like, what is going on? Even though I'm in Canada and I can't vote, that really stands out to me. So these are my thoughts on these couples, okay? Jalen and Olandria. Now, I honestly cannot tell if Taylor really likes Olandria or if he just wants to be in the game. I firmly believe that Taylor, Nick, and Ace are in an alliance. Spoken or unspoken, they're in an alliance. Ace and Nick definitely have Taylor's back. They want him to stay on. What is happening with Taylor and Olandria, if it's real, it is actually a nice and natural way to end up in a relationship, being friends first. Though this isn't Friendship Island, as people like to say, if it's real, it's kind of cool. And I realize that the audience really wanted Jalen there. He's a handsome guy and all that. But if you listen to Olandria, she talks to these guys. She asks them questions. Jalen doesn't have very much life experience. He's literally a small country guy who's a trucker from Georgia, which is all good. oh, not from Georgia. I forget where he's from, but he moved to Georgia. But whatever. He doesn't have a lot of life experience. Going to Fiji is his very first time, like getting on a plane. He's not well traveled. His job takes up a lot of time. Olandria, when she talked to him, she asked him these questions, and those things really stood out to me. So as much as the full body massage looked and felt good, as much as they look good together, it's also about the communication. I think what's happening with her and Taylor, and what we don't see, as we often don't see what's edited, might be how closer they are getting together, how many conversations they're having. And maybe though Taylor may not have really liked her at first and he wasn't attracted to her, that happens. Over time, when you're around somebody, they can start to get cute. I know, I've been there, okay? The reason I think that Ace, Nick, and Taylor in an alliance is because it just seems that way. The other thing I talked about in my last think piece is that I fully believe, and I can be wrong, I fully believe that Shelley and Ace are also in an alliance. Once they both realized they're on the show and they had met before, they fully like each other, but they have kind of decided that maybe before the show, like if we do end up on the show, we're not going to act like we really know each other. But they were smart in acknowledging they had met. And Ace gives his full attention to everybody else except for Amaya. He just was really not feeling her. But he really diverts his attention to other people. But the way that Shelley keeps coming back to him all the time, I was like, this is so weird, because she does seem like she's vibing with Austin. So then I went back, looked at episode 1 again, and what I remember, what stood out to me, why I thought they were really together. It's when Shelley chose Ace and they were up on that little stand. And it's when he did something and she said something like, don't do that, or why are you doing that? And the way she said it to him, that first time I watched it, is why I just believed they were really together. I believed it, but then it's like, maybe they're not, because of how he just has not been picking her. So it's like, Anyway, that's how I feel. You see that I purposely not talked about Huda, but I am going to talk about Huda now. Huda worries me, and I'll tell you what it is. I feel like everybody's against her. They're like, get her off the show. It's so unhealthy, her and Jeremiah. It is. It has become unhealthy, the way that they are experiencing whatever their relationship is on the show. I do keep in mind that she is a young mother. And maybe she thought she was ready to date, but I'm not sure Love Island is the best place for her. And I hope that they really do have therapists and help for people for what they're going through, because she is going through a lot. And whether it's part of her old patterns or what have you, it just doesn't seem to be the right place for her. I do want to talk about Jeremiah. I've always really liked Jeremiah. I don't think he's playing the game, but I think that Ace thinks he's playing in the game, and because Ace is playing the game so hard, that's why he keeps coming for Jeremiah, and also because I think he liked Huda, because to me, the way Ace comes at Jeremiah makes no sense to me. And then Nick was doing it too, but that's because they're in an alliance. And Taylor too, like the way Taylor is when Huda's talking. So last night's episode, which was Tuesday night, was kind of crazy because, Huda was reeling, about this thing with Jeremiah, because now Jeremiah is paired up with Iris. Iris is cool, y'all. Iris is so cool. She's thrown into all this craziness and these triangles and stuff, and she's just dealing with it. And it can't be easy for her own mental health, like watching what's going on. I know it also has not been easy for Pepe Espanol. He's paired up with Hannah. Like I said, Hannah was upset about Charlie leaving for approximately 5 minutes. And God bless Charlie, who's a lovely lad, but I do think that Charlie was very dry. I do think he started to show a bit more of his personality. I do think that Hannah finally realized she liked him, and she was playing the field, but it was too late because then he was gone. But that's okay. Pepe L'Espanol is there for her. But yeah, back to Huda. The thing that I don't like that Huda does, she cusses a lot, and she uses expletives to talk about Jeremiah. She calls him the B word. and she's just ranting and raving a lot, and it looks so unhealthy from a viewer standpoint, and that does not make me like dislike her. I don't know these people. It's a television show, right? Better than that, it's reality TV. Even more than that, editors love to edit. Okay, her and Jeremiah could actually have lots of healthy, great conversations that we never see, because we know that, you know, they decide who's going to be what and what they're going to show. It's just part of reality TV. Some people watch it and don't think about those things. That is one thing I do think about. You know, less so than what the audience and Reddit and those people are saying. I do think about how the show has always been edited. So my wish for Huda, because it's just that her mental health is taken care of, okay? Anyway, so last night what ends up happening is Amaya and Austin have a couple little flirty moments together. Shelly has a couple more moments with Austin. She has another little moment, little secret date with Ace. You know, that stuff's been going on. You know, they've had those raunchy games where the girls wore shorts that weren't really shorts. I don't know. Camera angles this season also very misogynistic. I'll just say that. So those things have gone on over the past few days, but last night was the big night, okay? And basically we still have Huda there, and it seems like the audience does not want her there. And the producers are like, okay, what else can we do? So you know what? Here comes Ariana Maddox in slow motion. You know what that means. There's gonna be another elimination. So she comes in, and she tells them to gather around the fire pit, and they're going to do a game. It's basically like lock and key. All the young ladies are going to be behind a door, and the young men are going to go up to the door of the woman that they want to be coupled up with. And if the door opens, that means it's for them, okay? So, because Amaya and Austin, and people don't like Austin, I don't know. I think he's funny and quirky, and it is what it is, right? Maya and Austin kind of have like a moment, a bonding moment, like out of the blue, or maybe not, because they were kind of getting along before. And of course, they're both leftovers. Austin is a leftover from Shelly because she literally is always going over to Ace, and Amaya is a definitely a leftover from Ace because he has paid no attention to that girl from the time they were coupled up, and she just seems to irk him. Like, it's so strange, his anger towards her. Like, I don't quite understand, but that's okay. I don't have to. I'm just watching it. Anyways, so they're all behind a door, and the men go up to the door, and if they turn the handle and it opens, it means that the girl chose them. Okay, so long story short, Austin goes up to Amaya's door, not Shelly's, and turns the door, and it opens, and they're all happy, okay? Nick and Sierra, haven't talked about them much because they're just pretty much a happy couple. I've just mentioned, you know, that Nick seems to be like Ace's mouthpiece sometimes, but Nick opens the door for Sierra, it opens, and they're all happy but happy. Okay, who else? So now we have like the Charlie, not Charlie, we have the what's his name? Oh yeah, Jalen, Olandria, and Taylor thing going on, right? Okay, so basically Jalen goes first, and Taylor is still on the sidelines, and he goes, of course he goes to Olandria's door. He's made it very clear that he's interested in her. He has a quiet confidence about him, but when he goes to turn the lock, it doesn't open. So we already know what that means. Well, we might not know, because then I'm like, maybe she didn't choose either of them. I did have that thought, you know, but that means that Jalen is now on the cutting block, okay? Who else is left? Who else is in the show? Oh yeah, Huda and Pepe l'Espanol, you know. Of course, Pepe l'Espanol opens the door. It opens up for Hannah. I hope I didn't say Huda, sorry. Opens the door for Hannah. They're happy. Everything's all good, okay? So the couple things that have us on edge are like, okay, will Ace open Iris's door, or will Ace open Shelly's door? And he goes back and forth, but he actually goes on Shelly's door. And I'm personally not sure if she actually chose Austin, but when he goes to click the door, it opens, and Ace and Shelley are now free to be who Ace and Shelley just were from the beginning, but wanted to keep it a secret. They're together, they're happy. Of course, la pièce de résistance is, did Olandria actually also pick Taylor? And so when Taylor goes to her door, it opens. I just want to also interject a little bit here too. Like, I know people think that Taylor doesn't really like Olandria. I don't know, right? I think Olandria's a slow burner. She's taken her time, and I do hope there's somebody else for her in Casa Amor, or another bombshell that comes in. Or, you know what? The best relationships come out of a friendship, and that seems to be what they're building. Who knows? But now we're left for the big moment, which is Jeremiah. So Jeremiah has to choose between Iris and Huda. Huda has had many breakdowns so far, a lot of cussing, too much cussing. Anyways, he ends up choosing Iris. And I was proud of him. I've been actually proud of how he stood up for himself. The things he said back to Huda while she is like just cussing at him and saying all these things that and there's something I have to go back and look. I can't remember which night it was, but it made me worry about Jeremiah a little bit. There was a thing he did. It was like his eyes rolled back. It was a thing. It was one of the nights it stood out to me. I'll have to go back and look. And it's kind of like when people were coming at him. And I think he really works hard on like his self-control and stuff. There's something he did that worried me a little bit. Medically, I'll have to go back. Anyways, I was proud of him for choosing Iris, okay? So, but Huda ruins that moment for Iris, because Iris and Jeremiah actually had a good date. They're getting along well. But then Huda, of course, puts the... she just sinks that knife in a little bit deeper by basically announcing that Jeremiah... wasn't really interested in her type thing. He just chose her because it was the easy thing to do. Anyway, she just basically puts the doubt and wipes a smile off of Iris's face with Jeremiah choosing her. And that's what Huda does. So now, I don't know what's going to happen next. We have a break today. The next show is going to be on Thursday night. As I said, believe that Ace and Shelley are in a relationship, and they didn't want people to know, so I believe they're in an alliance, and I believe Ace, Nick, and Taylor are in an alliance. Austin is in his own little world. Amaya is in her own little world. Hannah, listen, when Casa Amor comes, see it, Pepe el Espanol. I can tell you that. I want the best for Olandria, I can tell you that. And Shelley, too. I don't know. Looking at how Ace, whether he's playing or not, looking at his maturity level, it's not been fun to watch. So I don't know, what's in store for us or what's coming next. But those are my thoughts on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night. As I said, I will look up the numbers of the episodes for you. I hope I didn't forget anybody in my think piece, but I'm looking forward to the show, but not to the animosity and to the negativity. So it's not so much, I don't know what can happen with Huda. I think if she's there, she has this kind of fatal attraction thing going on with Jeremiah, and I just don't think it's healthy for her. So I have no idea what's going to happen next. I love all the twists and turns though in this season. I actually really like the cast this season. It's giving everybody a lot to talk about, and it's giving me a lot to think about. So if you agree with anything I say, if you don't, that's all right. These are just my thoughts, but please don't forget to like and subscribe, and that's what's up. Till the next time.